Hello everybody, in this lecture we will continue with the second part of our mortgage process example. So last time we actually finished here and we created forms for personal information, financial information and property information. And if you go to those forms, you see here were some personal information like name, surname, email, and other contact informations as address. In financial information, we had data fields for monthly income, time period of the loan amount, and we had monthly payment, which was just visible, and it was recomputed anytime when time period and loan amount were changed. And lastly, we had property information, actually with cadastral number, title deed, and type of the property. And so in application for a mortgage in this task, so we had placeholders for personal information and reference to financial information. So actually to these two forms. Then based on the relationship between monthly income and monthly payment, if monthly income was bigger than monthly payment, so then we automatically pre-approved. So automatically we would like that system will assign and finish this task. And then info about the property is filled. So here in the form is a reference to this property information after it was finished. So we wanted that the appraisal report will be filled by a appraiser. After that, based on the value of the property, if the value of the property is higher than the loan amount, so it is finally approved, otherwise it's rejected. And after it's approved, the person who is applying for a mortgage is assigning and finishing this task, which means is signing the loan contract. Then the bank employee should confirm lien inscription, and the applicant should sign the insurance contract by choosing an insurance company and finishing this task. And after that, finally, in this happy path, money are sent back. So, and what we did last time in the first part, we created forms for all these happy path tasks, and we also, and the references to these three subforms, and we also created actions where we automatically did this pre-approval and rejection, and this approval and rejection. And what we promised that we will do in the second part, we will actually program status task, and we actually will do all these rejection alternatives, this both, rejection by pre-approval and rejection by approval. And if these alternatives happens, then we should allow delete the personal information, where we actually delete the name, surname, and email, and maybe address of the person. So we would have these two different status tasks, but in both of them we would like to reference something like the all necessary information for the status. So we will actually start by creating a new task, which will be called like status info. And what we actually will do, we will reference the status info in this task, status, and in anonymized status. So we will go here, create a form, and we will add a new data field of the type task ref. and we will just change the ID. We will call it reference to status info in order to say what it actually is. We don't need to give a title there actually. And we will make it just visible. And we also will do the same thing here. We will create a form. And in this form, we will actually use this reference to status info again and make it just visible. So, and if we did this, so we will actually create a form for the status info itself. So we would like to have all the necessary information there that are needed for the status. So first of all, we will create a new data attribute of type simple text. And we will make it just visible. And we will change the ID and we will call it state. And we will give a title like state of the application. This will be the first field that we actually need here. Then we will have a placeholder for reference to personal information. Which also will be just visible. Then we will have a placeholder to financial information that also will be just visible. And so here we would like to have the information about the property, and we already have the variable that is reference to the property information. But the problem is that we will actually, here in info about property, we actually fill it. We fill this subform. But here on the finish, we would like to make this property information visible on status info. So at the moment when it's filled, we would like to make it visible. But if we use the same variable, which is of type task reference, in two different tasks, and in one task, in action, it is changed, but in the same task, it is used as a data reference on the form. So it might be some kind of conflicts. So instead of using the same variable, we will here create a new variable of taskRef to avoid this conflict. Okay, we will take a new taskRef, and we will just call it status reference to property info. Yeah, so it is different variable, but it will actually reference to the same property information. So both this status reference to property info and reference to property info. So we have here once more, status, because we had reference to property info. Okay, so actually we have two different variables that point to the same task, but in that way they will not be in conflict. If we use the here, one variable is used here to be filled, and one will be used in the action. And in that way, we will avoid this conflict, because otherwise there could be some potential conflict if we use the same data variable both in action, and we would like to change its behavior somewhere else, and both to fill it. Okay. So just let us continue. And after, so for sure this at the beginning should be hidden, because at the beginning it is not filled. And now we would like to have here just some simple data variables, also at the beginning hidden, and they are uprised value should be hidden at the beginning. Then we would like to have here appraisal report, and also hidden at the beginning. And we would also like to have here this new title deed, but at the beginning just hidden. And the last information that we would like to have here is the information which insurance was chosen, and it should be hidden at the beginning. So in that way, we actually created this status info as a form, and this form will be used here in status and here in anonymized status. And at the very beginning, only personal information and financial information will be visible on this status, and through this status here and later here. But on the way, when info about property is filled, we would like to make visible property information, and later on information about from appraisal report, and later on from confirmation of lien inscription and from the insurance contract. So in this way, we created actually necessary forms. And the last task that we need to work on is delete personal information. Here actually we will create a new form, and we will add a new data field of type text, a simple text, which actually we will change the ID of this data field and call it delete request. And we will actually give here a title, the same, delete request. And we will also give here some initial value, where we will just give the note or command for the applicant, what should he do here, or some message. Please delete my personal information. And maybe we could give somewhere in description that by pressing a finish button you will ask for deleting the personal information, for example. But for the prototype we will just give here this as a note, and we will make it just visible. And in this way, by assigning and finishing this task, we suppose that the applicant will ask for deletion of personal information if it's rejected either in pre-approval or in approval part of the process. So now we have finished all the forms, and what we need to do is to create actions for changing the status and actions for making visible those hidden fields in status info. But before that, we actually, okay, we can do that. Okay, we can do that. So if we go here, so we see that we already have here the action from the first part where we decided whether it should be pre-approved or it should be rejected based on monthly payment and a monthly income. So what we will do now, we will actually create a new action in pre-phase, and here we will do what we did in other examples. We will actually just change the value of the data field state and we will just write here a kind of string, and we will write here a message: your application was submitted. And remember that the state appears actually on status info as a first line. Okay? And we will do the same thing. So we can actually go back here and do the same thing after pre-approval. After pre-approval, we can actually again create action, and on finish of pre-approval, we can copy actually the whole action and just change this message and saying your application was pre-approved. Okay. And in the same way, we can, after the person is filling the information about the property, we can also create an action in finish on pre, just giving here another message: info about property was added. And we also would like to make now we would like to make this status reference to property info visible. So actually we go back to that action and we will do it. So we will go to functions, to data fields, and we will say, okay, we will change the behavior of the data field, and now we have two different variables that are referencing to the state to the property info. One is used as a subform in this property, filling information about property, and one is used in the status info. So we should use now or make visible this status info. Okay, this one. So we will make this status reference to property info visible. Now we will hide this on status info, and we will do it always. Okay, in this way we not only change the state of the application, but we also made visible a part of the information about the property that were filled in this task. Okay. And after the appraisal report is filled, we don't need to change the state because just after that, approve or reject should automatically be filled based on the value of the property. So, but we will add action here. And here we will actually write your application was not pre-approved, but really approved. Yeah. And after the loan contract is signed, we can do the same thing. We can add change of the state. We can say, okay, your application was signed. And now, in similar way, we can actually change state here, just saying that lien inscription was confirmed. And remember, we now just want to make the new title deed visible on this status info. So we will add here also change behavior, and we will say, okay, make data field new title deed visible on status info always. Okay. And in very similar way, we can now go to sign insurance contract, and in here we can change the message in the state variable to your property was insured. Now, because we have parallel branches, we could play with the status to get the information which was first, whether lien was confirmed or inscription was confirmed, or it was insured, and maybe to give him both message. But for the first prototype, we will give it like that. And here we also will add change behavior, and we will say, okay, we want to make field insurance visible on status info always. And when I am doing this, now I remember that we forgot to do it in appraisal report. So we should go to actions of appraisal report. Here, just to remember, in post, we have this decision. So if the loan amount is smaller than value of the property, so we will approve, otherwise we will reject. But here in pre-phase, we would like to add a new action. And here in this action, we would like to make this information from appraisal report visible on the task status info. So we are actually we have to remember which information from the status report we would like to make visible. And so we go to data fields and we will say, okay, first change behavior, and then we would like to make the second change behavior. And in this first change behavior, we would like to show evaluation. So this appraised value, we would like to make it visible on status info, which is this one, always. But we also would like to make appraisal report itself which is here visible on status info, and we would like to do it always. So in this way we actually changed all of the state messages, and we also made this and this, and new title deed and insurance visible in the moment when they were available. And the last thing that we need to do, last action in the happy part, we actually need to change the state after money are sent. So we are actually going here and saying, okay, when money are sent, we will just write here short message, money sent. Okay, in that way we created all the necessary actions for the happy part, but we forgot still, or we didn't create actions for these reject tasks. So we have to go there and do the same thing in the reject. So we should go here and create an action on pre of the finish button and write here your application was now rejected, and maybe write the reason due to your income. Okay, I will copy this, and in a very similar way we will go to this reject and we will edit action here. We will add a new action in finish, just writing your application was rejected due to the value of the property or evaluation of the property. Due to the property value. So your application was rejected due to the property value. And actually another action that we need to do is action on delete personal info. Here in pre-finish, what we actually can do, we can change the value and we will change the value of name, surname, email, street, and street number. So name, surname, email, street, and street number. So we have 5 different change value. And we will say, okay, here we want to make name an empty string. We want to make surname empty. We want to make email empty, and we want to make, for example, street empty, and we would like to make street number also deleted. So in that way, we finished all the necessary actions, and what we need to do now is to play with the roles. So we need to add some roles. The first role that we will add is the banker. Then we will add another role, which will be appraiser. And we would also like to add a system role, as in other examples we did. And the question is now, should we actually add a role for a customer that is applying, for the applicant? If we would do it, so then anybody who is applying for mortgage would see the application of all different people that are applying for the mortgage. So we will, because the scope of the role members, or scope of the role itself, are all instances or all tasks in all instances of the process. But we want to have a scope restricted to the same instance. So we want that somebody who is creating the instance and who is filling the application, this task, and to this task, personal information and financial information, the same person will be the only person who can do this task, info about the property, and is the only person who can sign the loan contract and sign the insurance contract, and the only person who can delete personal information. So in order to do it, we will need a new data attribute. So we can create a new data attribute not through a form, but directly here, and we can say, okay, we will create a new data attribute, and we will say that this data attribute will be of type user list. And we will just call it applicant and give it title applicant. And user list are exactly what we want. So if we add a permission to a user list, then only those users that are in that user list can do the tasks that have permission for this user list. So the question is now, how can we set the person who is creating the application for a mortgage to this data variable, to this user list applicant. So, and similarly, if we go to actions, so we can actually go here to process and case, or we can actually go here and say manage process permissions. And here we can set the permissions for the project for roles, but also for user lists. And if we want to do it for tasks, if we go to permissions, we can choose a role here, but we also can add permissions to user lists. But before that, we need actually add some action. We need to go here to a process and case, and for the case, we need to add an action. And after, so in post of creating a case, in post event of creating a case, what we would like to do, we would like actually, we would like to take a logged user and the ID of the logged user and set it as a value of user list. But as the name of the type user list speaks itself, it is a list. So it might have more than one user in it. So we can actually do it. We can say, okay, we want to change the value of this user list applicant that we just created. And we would like actually take user list, logged user, and take its ID. But this is not enough because this is just the one user. And in order to tell that it is a list of users with just one user, we will give here, we will give here this parenthesis. And in this way, we actually saying, okay, this is actually a logged user with this ID, okay? But if we are doing this, it would be maybe nice to pre-fill the values of name, surname, and email of the applicant to the name, surname, and email of the logged user. So we also can actually go here and say, okay, we will change these three things. And we will actually change the name to the logged user name. We will change surname to the logged user surname, and we will change email to the logged user email, okay? And in this way, we actually on create event on in post phase after the case is created. So we are taking the logged user and taking name, surname, and email of this logged user and setting name and surname and email of the of the data attributes in this case, and we are taking the logged user and creating a user list which consists of just one user, which is logged user. And now if we have it, so we already have set the logged user and his or her information, and now we can actually work with or set permissions for whole process. So we can actually say, okay, what we want that a default user, so because we now in all of the previous examples, we worked with anonymous user, which was user that created cases through a URL, so just going to a web address, but it was not logged user. Now we will suppose that in order to apply for a mortgage, you need to be a registered user in the system. So we suppose that somebody first create a registration in the system, and then if he or she is a registered user, then can apply for a mortgage. So, and those users are default users that are logged in the system. So we will say, okay, any default user can create a new case of mortgage application. And we want to say, or we want to set that appraiser and banker will see any created application in the list of cases. And we also would like to say that somebody should be able to delete, and we will say for this prototype that system, somebody who has a system role can delete the cases and also can view the cases. Yeah, but also, as we said, we can set also permissions for user lists that scope of that user list permissions is just for that case itself, because user list is a classical data attribute of the case. So it exists per case. So, and we say, okay, that also the applicant, so he will create it as a default user. After that, that person who created, who is logged user, will be set to user list applicant, and after that he can delete the application that he or she created, and also can view the case, the application that he or she created. So in that way, we are setting permissions for create, delete, and view of a case, of an application. And now we can actually set the permissions for different transitions or tasks. So we can say, okay, we don't want that somebody will approach personal information directly. So we say, okay, this is a system. Financial information is also a system. Property information is also a system. And status info is also a system, because they are only used as subforms. Okay? Now we want to set permission for apply for mortgage, and as we said, only the applicant, only the logged user can fill this task or fill the form of this task. So here we will actually say only applicant can perform. And if we are saying, okay, applicant can perform, we also can go here, edit task, and say assign policy will be automatic. So we don't need to assign, if we are creating the application, the task apply for mortgage will automatically be assigned to a logged user. Okay, we have to click here on save, otherwise it is not saved. Okay, then pre-approve should be a system task, and reject should be also a system task. Then information about the property should be done only by the logged user, which is applicant. And we also want that this task will have automatic assign policy. Now, what about this appraisal report? This appraisal report should be done by appraiser. Approve and reject should be done by system. And we go in happy part. Sign loan contract should have assign policy auto. And a permission, only applicant can do that. Only the same person who is logged and who created application, applied for mortgage, filled information about the property. So lien inscription is the task for a banker. Sign insurance contract should have assign policy auto. So we see each and every task of the applicant has assign policy auto. And permission should be just applicant. And money will be sent by a banker. Okay, now we still do not have personal information. Personal information also, okay, this doesn't need to have automatically assigned policy because maybe the person do not want to delete the personal information, and we actually are not so willing to encourage him to delete that. But we will say, okay, only the applicant can apply for deletion of personal information. And the last two things, okay, we said that, okay, these both are system. And what we didn't do, we need to say, okay, who can see the status? And for status, we can say, okay, both banker and the applicant can see the status. And who can see the anonymized status? Only banker can see the anonymized status. Because for the person, okay, he deleted the info, doesn't need to see a status anymore. Okay, just banker. We'll see that. So now, if we have it, we actually can export the XML. And after we did it, so we can go to application, we can log in, and after we log in, we can upload the process and play and see whether it works. So we can now log in and we can try to upload the process. Okay, we click on the process and we upload the file. Okay, and we see that process file could not be uploaded, so we could have a mistake or an error in a file. So now it might happen. We see that it happens now, and we can now see actually we can go to workspace log and we will switch off auto refresh and we will try to find from the process log or workspace log where we made a mistake. So we see that it is in the action that we we changed the state of the variable state to len inscription was confirmed. So, and we will go back to the builder. So it was here. So here we had that action that we identified now in the log that there is an error. So we will go here to that action in this preface of finish, and we see here we didn't delete this. We clicked twice and we didn't delete this. So now it should work. So we see that we delete, we clicked it twice, okay? Now we are exporting it again. And now if I'm going to processes, and I can actually have auto refresh now on, and if I can go to processes now, and I will upload this new file that I just uploaded or downloaded, so we see that there are no more errors and upload was successful. Now we have a mortgage uploaded and we can actually try how it works. So, but in order to simulate an applicant that is different from the banker and appraiser, we will go to workspace management and we will add a user. So we will actually add an email address, and we will say that the email address will be user1 Petriflow Netgrif. And we will invite the user. And now we will go to different browser, and we are already here registered as that user. So we will go and log in. So, and after we logged in as a user one, so we see that we have here our all cases, our processes. This is our workspace. But because we were invited to another workspace, to workspace start.petriflow, here we can go here to active workspaces on these 9 dots, and we can change the workspace. And if we will change here workspace to start Petriflow, so we are now here, we cannot upload processes. We are just a member as a guest of another workspace. So actually we are now something like a client of that another bank, which is called Start Petriflow. And here, if we go to plus, so we can create processes that are uploaded in that other workspace, and that can be created, the cases of those processes by default user. So, and if we click on mortgage, okay, and say, okay, we will say like my mortgage. And we will create the case. So we see that we have this auto assign. We have this auto assign. So if we go here, in order to open it also here, remember that here we had this auto assign policy. Therefore, we don't need to assign this task to ourselves. And we see that this action at the beginning here, remember, we had this action here on create case. We had this action that took email, surname, and name of logged user and set these 3 variables and then set applicant to logged user. So we see here that we have user, so we really pre-filled username, surname, and email address from the information that are saved for the logged user. And now, if we, okay, we want to show another thing. Here, now, if we go, we switch to another browser, to the owner of Start Petriflow, and if we go to all cases, we do not see the case. So only applicant can see the case, and also a banker and an appraiser. Remember that we said that here permissions only default can create and only applicant can view, but also appraiser, banker, and system. But here we do not have any role. So in order to see that case, but we just wanted to illustrate that no other person can see, only applicant, banker, appraiser, and system. And if we say, okay, now I will be, as a manager of this workspace, I will be a banker and a property appraiser. So at that moment, I will see that application, but I cannot delete it because only system can delete it. Yeah. So in order to delete it, I had to have a system role. I could do that, so I could give myself also a system role, and then I could also delete it. So now we just wanted to illustrate how we can play with different permissions for different events, like deletion, creation, etc. But to continue in the test, we will say, okay, our income is 1,000 euro per month, and we will now try to fill the happy path, to go through the happy path. So we will say, okay, we want to have it for the loan for 10 years, and we want to have, I don't know, 50,000 euro. So, and we see that our monthly payment is like, and maybe if we go like this, it's like this, and it's, so here we can actually play with that. If we say it, yeah, it like this, so it will be exactly 1,000, yeah. So we will say we want to have just 100,000 euro, so 833.33 is our monthly payment, which is smaller than our monthly income. So if we finish, the system will automatically decide. And we will see that we have here the status, and we see. So here, if I click on status, I should see a status, but I'm not seeing a status. Why it's so? So if we go here and go here to status, so we see that there is a variable reference to status info, but what we forget to give an initial value here. So here, if we want to have initial value here, so the status info should be initial value of that variable. So this variable had no initial value, so it was working fine, just we made a mistake. It happens. So, but it is really, if you don't see information there, you should actually check where you made a mistake and then repair it. So we now, actually what we did, we changed the initial value. We can also control it here. We can see that in reference to status info, we already have this as an initial value. So we are going here, and we are actually uploading the process once more. And we are successful, yeah. And now, in order to show, we go to role management, and we go to this first version of the mortgage, because our existing case is from the first version. And if we go to all cases, Now we see, because we added a system role, we can delete this case. So everything is working fine. And now we see that in these all cases of this another user in another browser of this user 1, there is no more this case. But actually we will go in the role management and we will say also in the second version we will have banker and property appraiser role. So, and we will actually for an owner to the second version said, okay, we are banker and property appraiser, and we can continue, we can go to different browser. We are here in the workspace Start Petriflow as a user 1, and we are again creating a new mortgage. And now if we did this, we are again going here. We are saying, okay, our monthly income is 1,000 euro. Time period is 10 years. We want to have 100,000 euros. And we see monthly payment is smaller. So we are finishing. It's automatically pre-approved. And now we see in status, we already have your information was submitted. And we already have this status where just personal information and financial information are visible. So here it is like in form, we see the status and the reference to these first two subforms, and all other things are hidden because we will make them visible later on. And actually, if we go here, as we are in the browser of the user 1, we see that user 1 can now fill the info about property. Doesn't need to assign, because we had this auto-assign policy for all the tasks of the applicant. Okay, and actually, if we now fill here some cadastral number and we say, okay, we want to buy a house for that 100,000, and we will finish. So what will happen on finish? On finish, actually, if you are here on finish, here we have this second variable that is showing to property info, and this second variable is made visible here. Okay, so if we are going here on the status, so we see that there are not only the information about personal information about name, surname, etc., not only financial information, but it is also information about property already here on the status. And if we go here to browser of the bank called Start Petriflow, and if we go to all cases, so we see the mortgage here already. And if we open that case, we see also status, but because we assigned ourselves a role of appraiser, so we can fill appraisal report. So we are actually now, if we would go here, so we are actually now, pre-approval was done automatically, then was the user 1 filled info about the property, and now we are at appraisal report. And if we go to detailed simulation, we have to assign it, then fill the information, and then finish. Okay, so we are, as an appraiser, might be more than one appraiser, so we have to assign it. We can say, okay, the value is, we want to check happy path, is 150,000. Okay, so we should upload appraisal report. So now imagine that I did it. We see the information about properties, cadastral number, property type. So we should see here title deed, but we didn't make it we didn't make it here. We didn't make it if we go here, we didn't make this required field, so it should be there, but we didn't make it required. In real life, we would make it required. And now, if we will finish, because appraised value is higher than the loan amount, so actually this action in post-finish will be called, and it will assign and finish transition T5, which actually is this one. It is this approved transition, so it will actually move the system. So we are somewhere here, and if we click on the finish, the system will do assign and finish, and we move here, and the user one should see the possibility to sign the loan contract. So if we will finish this appraisal report, so we see the status, we see that application was approved for the user one, and if we go to the browser of the user one, and if we reload the case, so we see that really the task sign loan contract is available, and after we click on that, it is automatically assigned because we choose the auto assign policy, and we see here that by pressing the finish button you sign the mortgage contract. Just need to fill here some IBAN number, so I'm not doing a real IBAN number. We could make here a validation, but we didn't in the prototype. And now, if I'm finishing, then by finishing a present button, I'm signing a contract. So if I'm finishing, so what actually happened, sorry, we can go here. What actually happened, so we had this auto assign, we filled that IBAN, and we finished. Now the banker should confirm the lien inscription, and we, as a user one, should sign the insurance contract. So a banker can go now reload the case, can confirm lien inscription, and you have to assign because might be more bankers than one. Should actually upload here a new title deed. So we will upload the source code here and say, playing that it is the new title deed. And if we will finish, then actually we can see in status this lien inscription was confirmed. And now if we go here as a user one and reload the application, we see that we have to sign insurance contract. And really, if you go here, we actually, as a banker, confirmed lien inscription, and now, as a user one, we have to sign insurance contract. So if we go to user one browser, if you click on sign insurance contract, auto assigns policy makes that we don't need to assign it ourselves. We just choose an insurance company, and by clicking on finish button, we insured our property. Now you can imagine that you are calling another system there, maybe a sub-process of insurance or whatever, but just for the first prototype, it's like this, and we see now in status your property was insured. So we really are somewhere. So we did this. This was done by auto assign, then we chose the insurance company, and by finish we got here, and now the banker can send money. So if we now reload the case, we see as a banker we can send the money, we can assign the task to ourselves, might be more bankers, we see IBAN number, we see how much money we should transfer to that account, and if we are finishing, so actually we see in the status money sent, Now, if we are going to the account of the user 1 applicant, we see, okay, money sent, he should get the money on the account, and we completed happy path successfully. And what we want to do now, as the last thing, is to create just 2 other cases as user 1, where we will apply and where we will see rejection. Yeah, so we can go to all cases, and we can create a new application for a mortgage that we will call other application. Yeah, and we will actually fill here monthly income, again 1,000 euro, time period again 10 years, but loan amount will be 200,000. And we see now monthly income is bigger, monthly payment is bigger than monthly income, so pre-approval will fail. And so we go here. First, we have seen that it's submitted. And now, if we reload that, we will see in status, your application was rejected due to your income. So what actually happened, we applied for a mortgage. And here on the finish button was this if else that caused that this task was assigned and finished by the system, and we are actually in this state now. So we can see the status as an applicant, and we can delete personal information. And we also see that also now we are in the account of the banker. The banker also can see the status that the application was rejected. And if we go back here to the account of the user 1, what he might to do now, he can delete personal information, but now we do not have auto-assign policy because we do not want to encourage him maybe to delete personal information, but because of GDPR we have to allow this. So he is assigning, and by finishing he is asking to delete the personal information. And if you go here now, he see there are no tasks for him. And the banker, what sees the banker sees here in this other application status, but name, surname, and email are deleted. Also street and street number are deleted. Yeah, and he just see for statistical reason that somebody asked for so much money, etc., etc. But do not see the personal information. And now the last thing that we want to check, we are going back to the user 1 account, and we are creating third application for mortgage to check the second possible unhappy path, I would say. We just will call it third. And if we go here and we are saying, okay, our monthly income is again 1,000 euro, time period is 10 years, and loan amount is 100,000. So monthly payment is smaller than monthly income. So we are pre-approved. So if we go here, we see in third, when we are reloading, that we are pre-approved, and we can fill information about property, cadastral numbers. Again, it is a house that we want to buy. We should add title deed, but we are a little bit lazy because we are just testing. But when we did it here now, if we go to all cases, we see in third, we already see that we have to fill appraisal report as a banker or appraiser, and we are assigning it to ourselves. We could have more appraisers than one, and we are saying, okay, appraisal report, appraisal value, it is a crappy house, is just 80,000. And because it's just 80,000, that is less than 100,000 that we ask for, and we should give appraisal report. Again, we are lazy because we are just testing, and we are finishing now. So what we see now as a user, reloading this, our third application, we see that now our application was rejected not due to our income, which is enough high, but due to the property value. So actually what we did, we went this direction. Okay, it was pre-approved. We filled the information about property, but here just 80,000 was filled as the value of the property, but we asked for 100,000. So this rejection was assigned and finished automatically, and we are here in that situation. And now we again can delete the personal information if we want. So if we go to third, yeah, we see that the banker cannot delete. But if we go here as a user one, we see that user one can delete. Have to assign, no auto assign policy. But if we asking for the deletion, so doesn't see any task here. And banker, if reloads the third, see the status, but in status name, surname, email, street number is deleted. But now, not only financial information, but also information about the property, cadastral number, whether it was house, and what was the evaluated value are present. So it works fine. It works as we wanted for the first prototype. And this, guys, is everything from me today. So we not only finished the mortgage application, but we also have shown ourselves how to work with user lists, how to work more in detail with permissions. And also we have shown ourselves by the development, because I made these two mistakes, how to handle errors, how to find them using workspace log, and how to actually correct them. So thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoy this. Have a nice day.